Hello and welcome to Brightsmith's Women in Mobility series. Today I'm joined by Dr. Robyn Lucas, the Head of Data Science at Open Energi. We are going to be talking through how she got into her career, the role that she's doing, why she loves working in the industry, and also giving some advice for people who see this as a possible career path. So over to you, Robyn, if you want to give us a bit of background on yourself, what you do at Open Energi, and how you got into the industry.
Hi, yeah, very nice to be here. Thank you for having me. So I work for a company called Open Energi, and we are a technology company in the energy sector, which has sort of some crossover into mobility. So we use cloud technology and machine learning to control assets like batteries and EV charge points, and industrial demand side response in like a autonomous way. And it's really important for getting to net zero because it means having technology like this, which is like a really smart distributed way of controlling decarbonising assets, is how you enable more renewables onto the system. So it allows you to have much more intermittent renewable generation if you can flex the demand side, because you can't control how much renewable generation is generated. And it's my job to understand the assets that we connect to, so be that a battery or a water pump, and develop the algorithms that control them. So all of the algorithms work completely automated. So I have to make sure that they work properly, understand what we're controlling, and then develop our product, because the energy system is constantly changing and the needs of the system are constantly changing as we bring more renewables online. So it's my job to make sure our product can meet the challenges that the energy system presents. You're on mute, I can't hear you.
Apologies, technical issues of having a dog. I was muting to avoid the barking and it backfired, but we're going to carry on. Moving into the next question is, why do we need more female voices in the industry? So the clean tech sector generally, as well as mobility.
So we're facing arguably like the biggest challenge we've ever faced in climate change, and to counter that challenge we need to innovate, and innovation requires diversity of thought. So if you exclude half of the population from the conversation, particularly in energy and mobility, because these are very polluting sectors traditionally, and they're also very male dominated sectors traditionally, and arguably have not had that much diversity of thought. So by creating that space where people from all different walks of life with different perspectives and different life experiences can come together and, you know, brainstorm ways out of cataclysmic climate change, it's really, really important. And you need to have that diversity of thought at all levels within an organisation and in all teams. So not just in like finance and marketing and HR, but in technology and in commercial, sales, operations. We need to have that diversity across the whole sector. And it's not just gender. All colours and creeds need to be part of that conversation. But at the moment, it is very male dominated. So we really need more female voices in mobility and in tech. And on a selfish note, I would love to see more women in the meetings that I'm in, because I'm often the only lady in the room. And you know, when you advertise for a job in data, to get a much more mixed bag of CVs, because it's pretty much only male ones I get normally. And you know, being mansplained to or mistaken for admin staff, it would be nice if that happened less.
Yeah, I think that is a fair assessment. However, I know from talking to you previously, as much as there are some issues, you love working in the industry. What is it about your job and what you get to work on and experience that you love?
Yeah, I find this industry fascinating. I mean, it's incredibly multidisciplinary because you've got blends of like engineering and science and economics and then politics with all the policy making that goes on, and that feeds into decision making that happens constantly. So we've gone in the last few years from about 30% renewable share up to about 50%. So the pace of change in the energy system is kind of unprecedented. I think we just did like 200 days coal free or something. And then you've got the advent of electric vehicles coming online, and like the crash in the price of lithium ion storage because of electric vehicles. And that brings like a whole host of new challenges, and it's just really exciting place to be. And there are constantly new ideas and new technologies and new governments which bring in like new policies, and the flexibility markets, which is what I work in specifically, they're just growing and evolving all the time, and there's such scope for growth, and there's such scope for innovation, and particularly with the like data and technology. Historically, there's not been an awful lot of data in the energy industry. It's not open, and it's not particularly granular. It's not that great. So we have the ability to really make a change with the way that we consume our power, and make a huge impact in making it cleaner and greener and cheaper. And there are lots of challenges, but the industry is really kind of trying to increase the diversity. So, you know, there are often very diverse speakers at conferences, diverse panels and speakers. Like internship opportunities are rife, and, you know, you can apply for them. There are lots of mentoring opportunities, and there are lots of networking for women specifically. So that we are trying to encourage lots of women from all ages, I think, into the industry. So it's a really exciting place to be.
Great. And in terms of what's coming, what exciting opportunities lie ahead?
So at Open Energi, we're just about to put our first battery into the balancing mechanism. So this is quite niche, but it's a real-time flexibility market for National Grid, and it's just like a whole different marketplace, and there are lots of new data feeds and new challenges to operate energy storage in it. So it's traditionally for like big fossil fuel power stations. So if we can like displace those fossil fuel power stations with energy storage, or with one day maybe hydrogen electrolyzers or electric vehicle charge points, that could be quite transformational. And also for me, it just presents like a whole new set of challenges, which is always fun. So I'm excited about that at the moment.
Brill. And last question, and we've touched on it slightly, but what would be your main advice to either the next generation of people considering a career in energy and mobility and clean tech, or potentially those who are working in a different sector and looking to transition in?
So there are lots of small companies in this space. It's kind of quite a startup dominated industries, although now a lot of those startups are owned by bigger utilities. But there probably won't be like shiny grad schemes or shiny internship schemes. So really the way you need to get into these companies is to like make introductions via email or via LinkedIn, and keep up with the latest news channels that are very industry specific. So there's like current news, energy live news, not light, and the power responsive mailing list from National Grid. And that will really give you an idea of kind of who's and who's doing what in the sector. And then you can use LinkedIn to follow up on those opportunities you might see. And you know, not specific to energy at all, but do not be afraid to ask questions. In energy particularly, there are just so many acronyms and no one knows what they all mean, so you shouldn't be afraid to ask. And you know, take every opportunity that you're given, and if you're not given one, then make one. So you need to make it happen, and you shouldn't underestimate yourself and, you know, the role you can play.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the advice. Thank you for sharing your story and being a part of our series. It was great having you on. And I am sure there's people out there that will be inspired to become the next head of data science at their chosen energy company. So thank you, and speak to you again soon.
Bye.